But a couple years ago, we actually found two lost hikers up there. They walked into our camp. These two ladies walked into our camp. They had been hiking since I think 10 o'clock in the morning. It was cold. It was going to be 40 degrees that night. They had no, I think one had a jacket, one had a sweatshirt, no backpack, no fire, no food, no, they were out of water. They've been hiking all day and they walked into our camp at night. And so we ended up giving them one of our tents, a lot of our food and a lot of extra clothes, got them through the night. We hiked them out the next day, drove them to where the car was and got them out. But that was a
Wow.
crazy experience because they were in rough shape when we found them.
Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast, Your Best Day Yet. At Center for Victory, we are here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. My name is Caleb Kolb, Chief Adventure Officer here at Center for Victory. And today with me is Ben McMillan of Hilltop Packs. I'm super excited to have you as a guest because I think we share a lot of the same passions. And a little bit about Ben. Ben is from Waynesburg, PA. He assembled a team of passionate hiking gear makers, including family, and created his small but mighty company called Hilltop Packs. And one of the things I think is really cool is you're kind of a serial entrepreneur a little bit. I saw that you went from one sewing machine in your basement, you've been sewing for a long time, to now shipping products all over the world. But your first job at 13 was selling worms, and then you were hooked.
That's it. Oh, so you heard that. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and ironically too, I saw that you like to tell jokes that only you think is funny and maybe one other person in the room. So I was like, when I
oh
found that,
yeah.
I was like, that's
You might
great.
be the first person to laugh at that worm joke, or at least get it. Yeah, so I appreciate that.
Well, we are excited to have you, and yeah, I just if you don't mind, I'd just love to hear the story behind Hilltop Packs and kind of how you got started in this backpacking manufacturing company that now is shipping products all over the world.
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. First of all, I mean, definitely blessed to be where we are, and it wasn't expected. It wasn't really planned. I did see an opportunity at some point, and I feel like I was able to jump on it. But there's always some dumb luck in situations like this, and there's some obviously if you have some skill set that kind of at least brings you to the table to recognize an opportunity. And I feel like I had this perfect storm of knowledge, and when the opportunity hit, I was like, well, let's try this, and then it actually worked, which is another part of the luck. So I've always been sewing since high school. I've always enjoyed making my own gear. Could have been, um, I used to play paintball, so I made my own jacket that covered up my neck just a little bit more so I wouldn't get hit with a paintball anymore. I made speaker covers back when I DJ'd. I had a mixer cover I made. When I got into photography, I made my own camera bags. So I've always had like a sewing machine in my house, but never once thought about making something for someone else. I just like making stuff. And it really doesn't matter if it's, making a product, creating a job, creating, music or creating a photograph, like just making something and feeling like I was participating in society and moving forward is what really kind of always drove me. So making this gear, I just felt like I was doing something. I was making something, but I didn't have any intention to sell it. So fast forward, I've been married before, married again, and I've always had like a sewing room, which I know some people might find a little bit odd for a guy, but for me, it was just another tool to get something that I really wanted to make. Yeah, you could go buy it, but there's just something to producing something.
Yeah.
So fast forward all that, and I made a lot of stuff. And then 2019, and I'd been hiking at this point maybe 8 years, 9 years. I've been backpacking and maybe off on that a little bit. But I posted a few pictures online after I had learned how to print on some of these high-end ultralight fabrics. And I had posted some pictures of stuff that I made, like different patterns. And I put like a picture of a bear on my bear bag. And I thought
Yeah.
it was hilarious. Again, I thought it was funny. I didn't think anyone else would find it was funny. I put it on Reddit, put it on Instagram, and then people started messaging me to make one. Well, at first I had bought some extra Dyneema fabrics. I was like, well, I'll sell what I have, so at least pay for the roll. So I sold maybe a dozen of them. And then like people kept hounding me, and I was like, might be a business here. And I have four kids at the time. I just had three kids. So my two oldest daughters, my oldest is at Penn State. My second daughter's finishing up high school. And I've always wanted to kind of get them involved in business, although they didn't really seem all that interested, but I wanted them to at least understand. So I approached them. I said, hey, I got an idea. We'll put a little sewing shop in our basement. I'll create the website. I'll create a business plan. I'll pay you almost all the profits. I just need enough to keep things going. How do you feel about that? And they both said yes. If they would have said no that day in 2019, there would have been no Hilltop Packs.
Wow.
So they said yes. So I bought a few extra sewing machines, built a little sewing shop in our basement. There's plenty of photos and videos of that on our social media pages. But they got to work and I started posting more pictures and we were doing maybe 30, 40, 50 orders a month, which was great through the end of the year. Getting into 2020, kind of the same thing. And at the same time, I had a very successful photography studio. We mostly did weddings and commercial projects. We're photographing like 400 weddings a year,
Wow.
probably about 100 commercial projects. We had 10, 12 photographers that worked for us at the time, and a lot of them still do. So I didn't really need another job. Like I was not involved in it. They were doing all the work. Okay.
Right.
Now you get to March 2020, pandemic hits. Wedding business is effectively shut down. All commercial projects shut down. Now we had done pretty well for so many years. I wasn't really that concerned financially because I thought, how long can this last? This isn't that big of a deal. I mean, I thought it was a big deal, but I didn't think the pandemic would last as long as it did. So I had some time on my hands. I'm like, well, let me sink my teeth in trying to grow this company a little bit more. Maybe I can make my daughter's a little bit busier. And I mean, by midsummer, that business just took off like a
You
rocket. A
you
perfect
were
storm.
flourishing.
People were getting outside. I had all the free time in the world. I knew how to sew. I knew how to do the marketing and branding, at least loosely enough to be dangerous. And just that perfect storm of knowledge just accelerated that so fast. And then again, people trying to get outside and looking for YouTube videos. And I was already had a lot of friends that were making YouTube videos because I was making stupid YouTube videos myself in the backpacking in the backpacking world. I mean, so I made some friends, and so they all
Yeah.
wanted gear. They wanted their own logo on their food bag, and they wanted their own logo on a ditty bag, and they were showing it off in their videos, and it just took off. And within our first year, we were already like it was just mind-boggling. And so I knew we had something there. And within 9 months of that happening, we had our own shop up on High Street, hired some more people, and then 9 months later moved into the building that we're in now. And it just that growth was just for the couple of years was insane. It was like 30% growth year over year
Wow.
for the first 3, 4 years. And now it's slowed down a little bit, but so that's the story.
It really is, like you said, the perfect storm of you already had the background in kind of photography and some marketing things. You already had the sewing background and then you had the help with your daughters and
Yeah.
just really able to, that's probably like gasoline on the fire there, just taking it
That's what we
off
look
during
at.
COVID.
When I recognize like, towards the end of March that there's something here. Because I mean, people were sitting at home watching YouTube videos. And I just saw the traffic start ramping up on our website. I saw the followers on our Instagram and Facebook pages start to go up astronomically. And I was like, okay, there's something here. Let's, like I said, throw some fuel on this fire and see what happens. And
And there are, I mean, there's people I see on YouTube that are doing reviews of your packs and bags all over the country. And so when I found out about you guys, it was really I was really stoked because I don't know of any other backpacking manufacturer in, I mean, that's certainly not in Western Pennsylvania, but I don't even know if there's anybody.
yeah, there's one, a Dutch wear gear. Now they make like hammocks, but they
Right.
don't go too far outside of the hammock realm. We're trying to do almost everything with the exception of hammocks, quilts, and tents. Like we want to do everything else.
Yeah.
Leave those other big things. It's just a whole different line of production and people that I don't know that we'll grow into anytime soon. So yeah, that's pretty much the only other one in Pennsylvania that I know of.
Well, it was really a cool opportunity. So for people that don't know how kind of we got connected, Eric and I were in Waynesburg for a meeting that day, and we just kind of showed up at the office and we're like, hey, we follow you guys online, love what you guys are doing. And Christian was there and he's like, do you guys want to see how it works? Like, we're like,
Yeah,
yeah, man. So he was giving us the tour and
we welcome that. We
uh,
love pulling back the blinds and just the curtains and just showing everybody what we do. Like we're not shy about anything we do here. We love when people stop in because there's really no trails near us. So anytime a hiker walks through the door, it's like, okay, everybody stop. Let's talk to this guy.
right.
You get 2 or 3 a week, and that's about it.
Yeah.
We have people come in buying our coffee, but actual hikers who actually know what the heck we do, it's a nice change from your average coffee customer that walks through the door.
Well, that's actually a pretty good segue because I'm a big coffee fan. And so I wanted to ask you kind of how did you get into the Hilltop Pack coffee? How
Yeah,
did
so
that start?
I would say another opportunity that turned into something I wasn't quite expecting. So we moved into this new building. We had a lot of space. Now, when you walk in now, we have it pretty much filled. But when we first moved in, we had a lot of extra space, including the whole front of the house. Like when you guys came in, you saw the sewing machines on the left. None of that was there just a month prior. It was in a different room. So the whole front of the house was like a coffee shop. Or I'm sorry, we turned it into a coffee shop. because I had all this extra space, but it wasn't supposed to be for the public. I wanted to make it for the employees. I think we had 12, 13 employees at the time. And I thought, hey, let's put a little like eating area where they can have their lunch, and maybe I'll put like a fake coffee shop. And then, my brain with ADHD just goes bananas. I go down this rabbit hole. I'm like, well, let's get some cheap coffee equipment. Like, well, wait a minute, let's get some nice coffee equipment. It's like, well, wait a minute, here's a coffee roaster. I'll roast the coffee in my garage. We already do a printing. We'll print the labels on the bags and be funny and silly just for our own workers and to see how this goes. So then I start making I buy a roaster, put it in my garage, and start giving out the coffee to my friends to see if they like it, just make sure it's okay to give to my employees. And
Yeah,
then I wanted more. I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's something
this
here
is
too.
it.
There's no coffee roastery in Greene County. And it didn't even hit me until after we got going a little bit. And so yeah, and my Aunt Bridget was actually involved initially with the coffee roaster because I needed someone to kind of help push that along a little bit while I still worked on Hilltop Packs. She has actually since retired fully at this point, but for 2 years she really helped me out. So we put the roastery in here in the same building, and we had a little coffee shop up front, just like regular coffee, no fancy drinks or anything. And then we sold bags of coffee, and the local community supported us. And I did not realize that there were no coffee roasteries near us that you could buy locally fresh roasted coffee until we already got past the silly idea of roasting our own coffee for our employees, which again,
Right.
dumb luck. But then you have to seize, or at least you have to have your eyes open enough to see that opportunity before you jump on it. And so luck has a huge role in all of this. I think most businesses, if you're honest, you got to admit that. But you have to have your eyes open enough to see that as an opportunity. And
Right.
that's
And I think one of the things, I mean, it just sounds like the entrepreneurial spirit and seeing a market for something and taking advantage of that. One of the things I thought was cool was the best rapper ever that you guys have at
yeah.
your
Yeah.
office there, and
I'm a
just
bit of a nerd. I like
yeah,
building stuff.
just like all the innovative, like a pack hanger, like that's a great idea. The bear toggles. I actually have my Hilltop Packs
There you go.
case right here. It goes on the strap. Like I've fiddled around with what to do with my phone on the trail, and if my hip belt's not long enough, then I got to put it in my back. If I want to check all trails or take a photo, I got to take my pack off. So big fan
There you
of
go.
the chest
Yeah.
pocket there.
A
So
lot of this stuff, we're not reinventing the wheel or anything. You're just kind of trying to improve what's already there. And some of the things we've created didn't exist before, like the bear toggle, like we call it the dog bone.
yeah,
That didn't exist in that form. And that was something that I was pretty proud of that took off really fast. But it's also the thing that I got the most crap about. Like people like really were hating on it. Like, can you just learn how to tie a knot? I'm like, well, yeah, I can. I could also walk to Walmart or I can drive to Walmart. Like I wanted something a little bit easier. And
yeah,
so at first we had so much pushback on it, just people online, just stupid people.
right.
Seeing the sales come through almost from the first video we made, I was like, oh, we've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of those things. It's insane how many we've sold because it's a simple concept,
Yep.
and we took the idea of a bare toggle, just like a
Mm-hmm.
stick.
Yep.
And
A stick.
how can we make it even easier? And we came up with a design like, well, we need to call it something. And I just, for some reason, I was looking at that, and I had a actual dog collar name tag on my desk. We have a company that we purchased from. They sent me a bunch of samples of stuff, and for some reason, they sent me a dog collar name tag. I don't have a dog, but it was on my desk, and I saw that. I was like, that looks like that could be that. And I changed the design a little bit. We called it the dog bone. Bam, done. Now we got a winner.
And so actually Eric ordered one. Eric has one. And so for people that may not know, for when you're hanging a bear bag, the toggle is what keeps the bag locked into place up in above the ground, so that the critters don't get the food. And that's been a really cool thing to see as well. Um let's see what's it like doing this with your family? I work with my mom and dad full time. I work for Eric here, and he works with his family. I know you're a family run business, so I kind of know the ins and outs that we experience. So how's that been for you guys?
Yeah, so at my photography studio, my mom has worked there. My sister worked there for like 10 years. She's actually moved on to create her own business, which was really cool. My stepmom worked there at Hilltop. My mom has worked here part-time. My sister also works here part-time. My wife runs her HR and payroll stuff. Both my daughters have worked for me. I have two younger kids that they don't have jobs. They're still in school. They're worthless. But no, I'm kidding. They're not worthless. Um, my brother also works, and he's a big part of Hilltop Packs as well. I love having all of them around me. Now, I think their answers would be different. I think they say it's exhausting working with me, but I love it. Like I am not afraid to hire family. Like even my aunt worked here, and I like that. I mean, if you're hiring the right family, it's not a
Right.
problem. And the biggest trick or the biggest tip I have for anybody hiring family is really think hard about who you're hiring in your family and set those expectations early on. And hey, this is a job. Hey, I am your boss. I'm not a jerk. I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm not gonna freak out. But like, and you may get some special privileges. We're family, but like this has to work. This really has
Yeah.
to produce. And like you're an employee, and just talking that out initially before you even step in to the role of boss and employee, really talk it out and have a real honest conversation with yourself and with them to make sure that that's not a dumb move on either one of your parts. Does
Right.
that's yeah. So hopefully it makes
That
sense.
those expectations are clear going into it. Yep.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of with our family. We started our nonprofit in 2015. Um, didn't know anything about the nonprofit industry, didn't know what we were doing, didn't know what skills we had and what roles we were going to play. And so we had to kind of grow into those. And now, I wish hindsight looking back, we would have maybe been a little more
Oh,
diligent on whose
trial and
roles are
error.
what.
I
So
listen. I know that from through mistakes in the past. So I didn't wake up one day and just have all that knowledge. Like I've made those mistakes with previous family. If you're watching, no offense. It didn't always work out. And sometimes even the ones that end up still really working out, you had to have the conversation a little bit later on because I failed early on to have the conversation. So, but it made it a tougher conversation down the road when things got awkward, and then you'd have to just buckle down, sit down, like, okay, let's get through this because I want you here. But
right,
this isn't working. Let's fix this. And the
right.
more honest you can be, and more direct without getting to the point where you're yelling, screaming, frustrated, Matt, try to again set the expectations. Even if you missed the mark at the beginning, do it a year down the road, reset, figure it out, or it's going to end badly, and you don't want
Yeah.
that.
And that's one of my mentors. He says, conflict delayed is conflict multiplied.
Absolutely.
And I have to kind of take that. I've been trying to move into that. And I don't know if you've heard of
Not easy. That is
no,
not
it's
easy.
not. And I don't know. Have you heard of the buffalo culture
No.
saying? So like, buffalo are like one of the only animals that when a storm comes, they turn in and run into the storm versus, run away from it. And theoretically they're in the storm less amount of time because they take
Yeah.
that head on. And so
Oh,
that's
I like
something that
that.
I've been trying
I
to grow
like that.
into. Yeah, that one was from my wife. She told me that one. So
Smart woman.
shout out to Sarah. So yeah, well, so let's talk a little bit about because I watched your YouTube videos. You're hiking all over the place. I always am looking for new places to go and things to do. And so, what are some of your top locations for backpacking trips, hiking trips, day trips? What like if you have, all right, I've got some time. I'm gonna go do this. What's your
Yeah.
go-to?
So I have kind of a weird approach towards hiking and probably life in general, where I've never really sat down like made a bucket list. I've never looked at a photograph and thought, oh, I want to go there. Because I understand that picture is just a moment in time, just a frame of what that person's seeing right there. I'm sure that place is amazing. But I
Mhm.
know I can create memories a mile down the street if I do it right. Like it's really what you put into it. And then I have so many cool places close to home. Like West Virginia is an amazing place. There's so many cool places in West Virginia. And one of my favorites is like Dolly Sods, West Virginia. It's just an amazing place. Seneca Creek area, amazing place. And I do try to do different trails when I go there. I'm not doing like the same thing over and over again. That gets boring too.
Right.
But I've taken some trips, and so what I'm looking for is just opportunities. Like if someone, perfect example, a group of guys came down from New York 2 years ago, and they just sent me an email and said, "Hey, we're going to be in the area. We're going to stop in Hilltop Packs, buy some gear. Are there any trails nearby?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "If you want, I'll tag along." I invited myself on someone else's trip. And
Yeah.
sometimes people have sent me email or Facebook or Instagram and asked me to go on a trip. And I always try to say yes. I try to resist the urge to say no. Because that's your first reaction. These people might kill me. No way, I'm not going to do that. But you also want to have the best time. And you just
Right.
somewhere between murder and a really good time. It's life experience, and so that's what I'm trying to shoot for. And I've met some guys from Ohio that came in. I'm still here. No one's murdered me yet.
Yep.
Some guys from New Hampshire, a friend who I've become friends with now, invited me on a trip to go to New Hampshire for a trip, and some guys from all over the country flew up for it. Some other YouTubers. That was an amazing, and White Mountain's an amazing trip.
Yeah.
Go back up. There's so many cool places up there to explore. But I'm just looking for opportunities to get out there either by myself if I have time or with anybody. So I don't really walk around with a bucket list, and I
Mhm.
don't really look at a photograph of someone else's experience and thought, man, I wish I had that.
Right.
And I'm hoping that's a good quality. My wife has always wanted to go on these crazy vacations, and she sees a picture of this and a picture of that. I'm like, you're getting excited about a photograph, and I get it. But like, there's so many cool things we could do every single day to
Yeah.
really maximize our enjoyment out of this life. And so that's kind of my take on, But if I were you, good dolly sods. I'm
You know what's funny is uh I was in Dolly Saws last weekend and I'm going again Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the group of guys and my dog. I love Dolly because you can bring your dog. So I have a 145-pound Swiss mountain dog that sleeps in my tent with me and has his own pack, carries his own food. So I love Dolly Sods. We went up to Lion's Head and watched the
Yep.
sunset and um
Crazy
it's
story about Lion's Head. So my friend Preston and I, anytime we bring friends with us, we try to take them to Dolly Sods so they can at least experience that. If I'm going by myself, I try to go someplace else I've never been yet. But
Mhm.
anytime we go with friends, we go there 'cause it's such a cool place. And Lion's Head is I won't say a spiritual place, but it almost feels like that at night. If you get the right night and there's no moon, you see
Yeah.
every star in the sky. It's amazing. But a couple of years ago, we actually found two lost hikers up there. They walked into our camp. These two ladies walked into our camp. They had been hiking since I think 10 o'clock in the morning, and this would have been maybe September. No, sorry, maybe go yeah, September, October. So it's getting dark a little bit earlier. So this might have been 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. They walked into our camp up there near Lion's Head, and there's pine trees up near the very
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
That's where we were camped out at. It was cold. It was gonna be 40 degrees that night. And I think one had a jacket, one had a sweatshirt, no backpack, no fire, no food, no, they were out of water. They've been hiking all day, and they walked into our camp at night, scared the crap
Oh
out of us.
yeah.
I get chills thinking about hearing the voice saying hello, and like we couldn't see him yet. It was pitch black out. Again, no moon. That's my buddy Preston's also a photographer, so we try to go there when there's no moon, so you can see all the stars in the sky. And that was that night. And so we ended up giving him one of our tents, a lot of our food, and a lot of extra clothes. Got him through the night. We hiked him out the next day, drove him to where the car was, and got him out. But that was a
Wow.
crazy experience because they were in rough shape when we found them. But we
Yeah.
ended up after we got them warmed up, built them a fire, got them dried out because they'd walked through a creek to get to us. They saw our or heard our voices or something and found us. And we saw very few hikers that couple days. But anyway, after we got them all warmed up, like this could still be a cool experience for them. We took them back down to Lion's Head and showed them all those stars, and
Yeah.
like turned this awful experience for them into this really cool moment where now they're safe, they're warm, they got food, they got a fire going, they got a tent, they got a sleeping bag. I knew I was going to freeze, but I was going to be fine. I've been in bad situations before, but it turned into a pretty cool experience, at least as good as it could be. So
Yeah.
there was no chance of hiking out that night. I think at Lions Head, you're probably what 7 miles from the nearest road at that point.
Yeah. And
You're not hiking out at night.
it's that's a really cool story.
We have most of it on video. So we were filming the whole trip until the point where we found them, and then I put the cameras away. I didn't
Right.
feel comfortable filming these two strange ladies. They were like, "Who are these?" I think one was like 60, 61, something. They're in that range somewhere. I wasn't trying to make them any more scared. Just put the cameras away.
Were
But the
they day hiking? I'm sorry, or were they
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
they were just, here's what they did. They had a map. They drove to the trailhead, and they had planned on this map to do just like a little loop.
Hmm.
And they left the map in the car, or I believe the map was in the car. And they were just gonna do this little loop. Well, they drive the trailhead, they get out, they take off, do the loop, and it doesn't come back to where they think it's going to, and now they're lost. Well, we found out the next day, and we drove back to their trailhead that they told us they were at. Their car wasn't at the same trailhead. They parked at the wrong trailhead altogether. The very first step, they were lost.
Yeah, and the
Already lost.
trails aren't blazed. I mean, they have the trail
No,
numbers and
no.
signs, but after that, there's no blazes.
Not at all. But yeah,
It's
the next
wilderness.
day we woke up. We had some of our camera gear out, and they asked us what we're doing with the cameras, which, rightfully so. I'm like, well, we were filming a video for our trip, but we stopped when she got shut. They're like, well, we don't care. Go ahead, keep filming. And we said, well, do you want to be in the video? So there's a video out there of all of us, and it does cut off for the, 8 to 10 hours the nighttime, but we did pick up the next day and finish telling the story. But that was pretty wild, and that was like there was another time we found a lost hiker too, but we got her turned around correctly, but she had been lost like all day, and we got her back on track. But it's easy to do down there, so you got to be very careful and have a good
Yeah.
plan. So,
And that's what I was going to say. I think we see that a lot. We do Grand Canyon rim to rim twice a year, and then I just did Mount Whitney with a couple with my buddy and his now wife. And I think the biggest thing is just the preparation for it. You know, you see a lot of people that both Whitney and rim to rim that like I don't think people quite realize what they're getting themselves into. Like we
oh
were
yeah,
doing Whitney and it was May and so the switchbacks were closed and so we had to go up the chute. So we have, crampons, ice axe and so we had summited and I'm coming down. And so I have my two friends and I said, "Hey, wait here. Let me just like scope out their out." And so I go down and there's this guy and he has one trekking pole and like micro spikes. And so I look and he's sitting down and you know how like his plan is to glissade down and and he just has one trekking pole and I'm like, "So what's your plan here?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to try and use my trekking pole as a brake." And I'm just like, "Okay," and I
oh man,
and I just kind of like what so he started going and he just was yard sailing all over
oh
gloves, hats, he was okay, but like I think a lot of it is just people don't plan for that. And I think
right,
but on top of that, I think you need to experience discomfort and being out in the woods at night can be scary. And I think there's a lot of growth and benefit, especially when you don't
absolutely,
have cell phone service like we were talking about before we started recording is, there's a lot of benefit and growth to that. But you on the back end, you want to make sure that you have enough water and
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah, and you got to make a few mistakes. Hopefully, they're not life-threatening mistakes, but you are going to screw up a little bit. And there's something to over planning and not actually getting out there and doing the trip too. There's people that sit there and plan and plan and plan and watch video, video, video. Well, at some point, you gotta get off the couch and get yourself uncomfortable because planning part that can be the fun part, but that's not the experience part.
right.
Like I said, you got to get out there, and there's a lot of growth to be had in being uncomfortable and getting through it. And you might be miserable, but like I could tell, I've probably taken, I don't know how many trips. I don't want to say 100, but I've taken a lot. Um, but all the ones I remember were the bad ones. I mean, the tough
Yes.
ones, hard ones. Those where the good stories are. That's where you grow. And the ones that were easy, you just went out for a few days and nothing really happened. Great, it was what I needed at the time. But I probably already forgot about it. I probably couldn't even remember the trip at all at this point. My buddy Preston brings up certain trips, and he's like, "Remember we went down to?" I was like, "I don't remember that trip at all. No, nothing must have happened."
You have you heard of type 2 fun?
Type two, we talk about type two fun
Yes.
all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something we even say here in the shop. Like, when things get really tough, like these are stories we're going to tell in a year from now. Even right now
Mhm.
at Hilltop, we're in a bit of a sales slump, and it's seasonal. This is kind of where this is typically one of our lower months of the year, and industry wide. I have other friends in the industry; they're saying the same thing. Typically, October is a bit of a lull, and but that's where you can just hunker down and wait it out, or you can just give up and mismanage the whole situation and get in even worse shape, or you can look at it as an opportunity. Look at what can we make out of this? If everyone else is going through the same thing, how can we kind of rise above that and take that to our advantage? And so we always use this time of year to create new products. And let's push some things out there. Instead of sitting on our hands worrying about where the next sales come from, let's create some waves. Let's do something different. And so through, adversity, through tough times, like you have a couple choices, but for me, the only one is just do the work, man. Get out there and do it. And that's what makes the great memories. Same thing on a hiking trip. When it's tough, you can just sit down and like, well, I'll wait till someone saves me, or I'll
Right.
wait until the weather passes, or I'll wait until, or you can get up and do the work.
Yes. This is I'm loving talking to you, man. I have one more little thing I think you'll relate to this. So just like you were saying, we did rim to rim and there was a guy on our trip that did rim to rim with us and he runs a company, he's another business owner. And I was trying to like kind of small talk with him ahead of time just to develop a relationship and he never really wanted to talk to me and I'm socially aware enough to realize okay, maybe he just doesn't like me. I'll just leave him alone, um and he had some pretty significant knee pain when he was going through the canyon, and he made it through. And afterwards, he really opened up to me and about it. I asked him how his knee was, and he really opened up to me. And he said, this is like the first time in my life I've never had a safety net. I never had. It was up to me. Going into the canyon is a choice. Coming out is not. You got to get out. And he said that was the first time in my life that I didn't have that safety net or that plan B to fall back on. I really had to kind of rely on my own kind of just grit
Grit.
to keep going. And so it sounds a lot like kind of just the entrepreneurial spirit that you guys
You
have.
you
And
can't teach that. You can't teach grit. And
yeah,
if I could talk about the employees for a second, like I feel like I've
yeah.
picked great people to help me get through those tough times. Like I have a really good team. And we have a couple layoffs every year. Usually we do like a 2 to 4 week layoff around this time. And
Mm-hmm.
then we'll do another 2 to 4 week layoff, probably like we Christmas. And we talk about it. I don't surprise anybody with this kind of stuff. I like talking
Right.
it through. I'm like, hey, sales are going down. In a few weeks, we may see this.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a couple people laid off right now. But I've given the other people a chance. Like, do you want to take a layoff, a volunteer layoff? Do you want to So my point is through the discussions, and they all want to work. Like they're just talking to them through these problems. I can tell they're team players. Like
Mm-hmm.
this one part, I don't want to cry, but not that we did this, but a few of them even offered to work without getting paid. I was like, that's not what I'm asking you. But the
Yeah.
fact that they even talked about that blew my mind. That we built a team here that they all care about each other. I'm not saying it's me, but it's the company as a whole, and all the employees. Somehow we built this team to where they feel like family. And the fact
Mm-hmm.
that they offer that was just wild to hear. I've had other
Yeah.
businesses. I haven't quite heard a group talk. Well, you see in the group when you came in.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of good people, and they're not all hikers, but they're moms. They're the two of them are sisters. Then I got my brother, and I've known a lot of these people too, and I kind of pick and chose different people in our community. So I knew most of them before I even hired them, and I really wanted this person for that reason, this person for that reason. So everything I'm talking about, that works for me. They don't have to be me. They're bringing other skills to this company. And I couldn't do this without that part too. I can take the risk. I'm a risk taker. There's some grit there. I will survive. I will find a way to not have to get a real job.
Yeah.
Figure it out. But to have a team that supports you, and even for different reasons, it doesn't matter. But like a team that really believes in what we're doing here and really wants to see each other succeed has been really cool. And I know we're not talking about that, but
No, I love
just
where
gotta throw
this
that in
is.
there. Just
I
gotta throw that
love
in. Yeah.
I, and I can attest that. Like we just showed up at your office. Like they didn't know us. Like
I wasn't even
and
here. I was
no,
hopefully I took care.
no, yeah, no, they were great. And I mean, we were there for a while. Like Christian showed us around, introduced us to everybody we were talking to.
I encourage that. Like I want them to be proud. Like I want them to take a moment to show new people around what we do because I want them to be proud of it. I want them to get the credit. If you look at our Instagram page or YouTube channel, TikTok, they're in the videos and photos. I mean, it's probably 20% me, but I really, if they want to, I don't force them. That would be
Right.
awkward. But they
Yeah.
want to be a part of that. And giving them that credit, I feel like also helps up build up some of that morale and it really helps them feel like they're part of this. And it's been really cool. We have some people that don't want to be on camera and you'll never see them, and that's fine too. I get that. But making them a part of that success and their face a part of that success is just as good for them as it is for me, as it is for the company. Like I'm not stupid. That makes us look really good and cool to the community, to the outdoor industry. But it's good for them too. So it's good for our bottom line. It's good for them. It's good for the
Yeah.
team, and it seems to be working really well.
And it's authentic. I mean, just the fact that there's that your team's so bought in that they would work without. I mean, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's like such an authentic thing. I'm just proud to be to have you guys as our local
Well, thank you.
Western PA outfitter. Our
Yeah, I
backpacking
appreciate that.
manufacturer. I
But
do
back,
want.
I'll go
What's
just
that?
if I can follow up one last thing because you said the
Yeah.
word, be authentic. So one thing that and this is kind of off topic, so I'll try to keep it brief. But I own a photography studio and video company. Like we could do some really high-end photos and videos from day one as a group. We sat down in our very first studio, actually even in my basement. We talked about it with my daughters and my wife, and I had this idea that we would never go that route where we like overproduce our videos and photos. And this is going back 5 years. Like we said, we're only going to do all of our content on our phones, which I know
Mhm.
now is kind of the standard thing. But 5 years ago, that was a scary move.
Yeah.
Because I was creating content for other companies. Like I was already making professional video and photos for other companies to use on their social media pages, on their website. And here I am starting this company that could take off. And I'm making the decision to not do that. The one thing I
Mhm.
sell to people, I'm like, we're gonna just do nothing but cell phone, really crap. Not saying crappy, but like, okay, we'll have some decent lighting, but it's I want it to feel authentic. I want the videos to be handheld or on a monopod if I'm by myself, or I mean a tripod by myself. So trying to keep that authentic feel was a conscious decision with the camera work as well as the people. So putting those two things together, we don't look like we're a big, massive $10 million company. I want to feel like it's us. I
Right.
want you to think it's us making your gear. It's us making the videos. And one thing, like when the group I mentioned earlier, a group of guys came down from New York, and they were like, when we were driving to the trip, I'm sorry, we were in the car all together. There's four of us, five of us maybe. And we're driving, and these guys were like, we love your company. We were talking on the way down. We really like supporting your company. We put you in our videos a few times, and we know we never met, but we really like your company, and we don't know why. And I said, I know why. They said, well, why? And I said, well, let me ask you a couple of questions. And I'm not trying to call to the companies or anything,
Sure.
uh, but I mentioned a few other company names. So what do you think about when you think of like Z Packs? Like,
Mhm.
well, I think of the blue logo. I think of, tents. And I'm like, okay. When you think of this other company, what do you think of that? I'm like, well, I think of backpacks. And I'm like, okay. When you think of this one, a lot of it was like logo or color
Right.
or a piece of gear. I said, okay.
Specific.
What do you think about when you think about Hilltop Packs? And one guy goes, oh, I think about Christian in that bunny outfit he had on, or I think about Amy doing the video and throwing or no, they mentioned Amy throwing a chair at me. I'm like, our employees' names. How bizarre is that? Like,
Right.
but it made me feel so good that we had the right approach, the perfect storm, this idea that we would just be as authentic as possible, not fake, but be as authentic as possible with the people, with the equipment, and with the camera. And it has just worked really well. So I know it doesn't
Absolutely.
work forever, but you get one chance to be a small company and get the support as a small company. Let's not try to grow too fast. So
I love that. And that's actually pretty good segue into, not only are you, I mean, your authenticism shows, and one of the things I want to talk about is, given the recent hurricanes, you guys started a fundraiser to help out some of the trail towns that were affected. And so I wanted to just talk about that because I thought that was really cool, and just an opportunity that if more people can hear about what you guys are doing, and have the
yeah.
opportunity to join on.
Yeah, I wish I personally probably could do more. Like I run a couple businesses. I really wanted to go. I had friends that were getting in their trucks and loading up U-Hauls and driving down. Like I want to do this so bad, but also have responsibility to my employees. And I know this is getting ready to go into our slow time between the photography studio, even the coffee shop,
Mhm.
and here. And like I said, I got to be smart about this. I still have to worry about the employees. How can we at least help? So we did donate, some money when we could for certain things. That's not a big deal. But what I really like doing is anytime I saw someone online doing like a raffle or a giveaway or a contest or something that was promoting something to help people down there, I would contact them like, hey, tell me what you're doing, and I will somehow match the giveaway. If it's going to be $50 gift certificates, is it $100 gift? Is it a $500 gift? Like, just let me know what some of your top donors are doing. I said I'm about out of money. I said I don't know if how much more money I can donate, but I can still use our resources for good.
Mhm.
So we can do something that's going to amplify your giveaway. I'll help promote it if I can. I'll share it if I can. And so there's still a few more coming out there that haven't quite even launched yet, but there's a couple. So that's the smaller groups, the people that
Yeah.
are like the grassroots stuff. And I don't want to just donate to the Red Cross or whatever.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. It's not what I mean, but just we talked earlier, real people doing really cool things, because it's also experience for that group of people. Can I support that? And these are hikers, these are people in our community, and I think that'll make a stronger relationship between me and maybe that person or that group. Obviously, there's a good business side to that, the relationship. I'm not stupid, I'm not naive, but I really do genuinely want to help that people,
Yeah.
however I can. I don't have unlimited funds. We're still a growing company, but I can donate equipment if it's going to help them raise more money. So that's what
Mhm.
I've been looking out for right now. We've done it for like the last few weeks. We've been donating equipment and gift certificates. Whatever I see, we're jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh, I love it. Well, Man, Ben, I could talk to you all day. Especially so I was
Well, let's go on
excited.
a hike together. Let's
I
go on
was
a
gonna
hike.
say we'll have to continue this on the hike. Yeah, I've got
Absolutely.
yeah, I'll be back in Dolly Sods this weekend, but after that I don't have anything planned. So I would love to connect more on the trail and I just keep the conversation flowing because I you were the first podcast that I like. I was like, we gotta reach out to these guys and get Ben on, and so I'm
You're
really
doing a great job. You're doing an
oh
amazing.
thank you, I appreciate it. Anything else that you want to share or plug or anything else?
No, this has been fun. I love talking to people, especially people that understand what we do. Because I live in a community where there's no hiking trails. I have friends that stop in and are like, "What are you? What is this?" Like they have no idea what we do, and like show them a backpack. They're like, "Well, I don't get it. It's just one big pocket. Like, okay, it's light, but I don't get it. Like, can you make the kid a backpack for school? No, I can't make your kid a backpack for school.
We didn't even get into like the ultralight custom. All right, we got a few minutes, and Eric's not back yet. So let's just. I think one of the cool things about Hilltop Packs is the ultralight kind of feel to them, but also the availability to customize your pack. Right?
Yeah,
I
we
was
skipped over
online.
that part for
Yeah,
sure.
it's worth talking about for a couple minutes because I was online and I was sitting next to my wife. I'm designing my own pack. I got my ice axe loop. I got my seat pad. I got a seat pad from you, sit
Nice,
pad from you guys. That's like been you know that my
perfect.
wife is envious of that. So yeah, just let's talk about that just
Yeah.
for a couple minutes.
So the one missing piece of the conversation we probably didn't talk about, and I do tend to kind of skip over most interviews, is yeah, you have to have opportunity, you have to have a skill set to take advantage of the opportunity, you have to have your eyes open. We can talk blah blah blah, but you still have to have something different that makes you guys stand out, or your company stand out from everybody else. Like the coffee roaster. Well, there's no other coffee roaster in Green County. It stood out like a sore thumb, like bam, it took off like a rocket. One thing that made us different, I did touch on it earlier, is we custom printed on these fabrics. And early on, there was really no other company doing that on a like per job, per item.
Mhm.
There wasn't no way to go on any website and upload something to an individual piece of gear with your photo on, whether it's a picture of your dog, your family, the scene from your last backpacking trip. No one was doing that. And it was such just to me, it was just like, this is a no-brainer. Like this could be easily done. We used to own a print shop. I didn't talk about that. We had a print shop for 10 years. We shut it down during COVID, which was, I don't know, that's a bummer of a story.
Yeah,
But anyway, stuff happens. So I knew how to do it. I knew how to print all these crazy, substrates and fabrics. So I knew how to do the process. And that was such a disruptive move in the industry at the time we came in. You got to think all this accelerated growth with COVID and people getting outside, people are searching stuff. And all these other companies are all doing the same thing, green and blue bear bags. Okay, you can buy that
yep,
anywhere.
yep.
There's nothing else. Well, I come in like, okay, let's make it pink. Well, hey, let's put your family dog on it. And that was such a massive differentiator from everyone else. We like everyone's over here, we were over here, and there was no one
Mhm.
else with us. And there's still really not anyone that's willing to take an order from somebody, again, on a per item, you know, piece of gear, and take that order efficiently and then make it and send it back to you. Like we're taking it, we're printing it, we're gonna sew it, we're gonna send it back to you. And it's a very efficient process. I've built websites since like 1996, so like I know how to do all that nerdy stuff. And so it wasn't that difficult to build out what I really needed to be able to take the order online and take the photo. And then our graphic designer grabs it, prints it, goes over to the print side of the business, and then they go sew it. So still no one else is really doing it like that. And there's companies that do like mass printing and like they'll do, a run of 100 bags. They got the printer, they got all the equipment to do it. But they're not doing it on a per job, per item, per piece of gear basis. And we found a way to make it profitable. So that's what makes us different. Everything else
Yeah.
I talked about, that's what makes us work. It makes it function, it makes it profitable, and makes us hopefully last a long time. But that's what made us different early on and really makes us stand out in the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Ben, I really appreciate having you on. And for the listeners, be sure to check out Hilltop Packs at hilltoppacks.com. And for more information, check us out at centerforvictory.com and click on the AMP tab for more information on our hiking events. And remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet.